Welcome to another Descript live stream. It's Friday, September 6th, and today, your questions, as always. So whatever you want to know about Descript, drop it in the chat, and we can talk about it. I'm going to start off by saying this is going to be the second to last live stream, public live stream. I'm going to do one more next week on September 13th, and then beyond September 13th, it's going to be a member perk. So I have a membership for this channel where you can subscribe. There's 3 different tiers, and I apologize, the pricing is in Mexican pesos because I'm in Mexico right now, but in US dollars, which more people are familiar with, it's fan is $2.99 a month. Super fan is $5.99, I believe, or $6.99. And then Master Fan is $25 a month. And with all of those, you'll get access to the live streams. And then with the top tier, the Master Fan, you'll get access to the entire course for the lifetime of your subscription. So yeah, this is a cheaper way and a per month way to get into the Descript Mastery course. And then again, for those of you just tuning in, I'm going to do a live stream today and one next week. And then all the future live streams will be for members only. It's going to become a member perk. So definitely ask your questions today. Take advantage of this time, and let's get into it. I had a couple questions beforehand. So, and I don't really know how to tackle this, but the question was essentially, when you're doing a screen recording, how do you spotlight effect was the specific question he used. And X, if you're on the call, feel free to chime in. But I think what he's getting at is how to like annotate or draw attention to certain areas. And so let me just do a recording real quick. And I do a record into script. No, let me do a screen recording. Hey X, thanks for joining. Okay, let's do the screen sharing here. Oh, you know what? I think this might not work while I'm running the live stream software. Okay, I might have to just talk through this. So the ways that I primarily use different ways of annotation is, first of all, this my mouse thing here, my mouse annotation. Oops, and I closed it. So that's one way I draw viewers' attention to things, is having this big blue circle around my mouse, and it turns purple when I right click, and it has that little animation where it like zooms in and out. And then, yeah, okay, perfect, X. So also with this tool that I have, and there's a ton of tools like this. I bought this one on the App Store on my Mac for like less than $3. It was like $2.99. And so in addition to this circle, which you can customize, there's a left click and right click, colors, there's the size, the width, so you can customize it like that. Additionally, there's this little draw panel. So if you hit Option D on your keyboard, it opens up. Maybe I can't move that, and I don't think you can see it on the screen. No, you can't. It opens up a little box where I can choose like different shapes. So like I have arrows, I can type stuff, and I never use this. Like, you've never seen me use these in the video, and you can undo. But this kind of software exists, so you can definitely find some really good options and do stuff with third-party tools. Because unfortunately with Descript, all you get when you do a screen recording is that box where it asks you to select the size of the window you want to record. Or if you're on the browser, it's different if you're on the app versus if you're on the browser. If you're on the app, you get the choice where, let me show you, I'm on the browser right now. So if I go to screen record, I turn on the screen record option, I can choose a tab from Brave, or I can choose a window, an entire window, or I can choose an entire screen. I have 2 monitors, so I can choose either one of those. On the app, the desktop app, the only thing you can do is drag and select a specific part of your screen, and that's it. So there's on the recent Descript call where they were talking about like the latest changes. They call it season 7. They were talking about what's coming for season 8, and they said the big thing coming is template stuff, templates, layouts, and I'm hoping that includes screen recording layouts where you could save like, because this live stream is a perfect example. Every time that I start this, I have to select a specific size on my window, and I'm not using Descript, so maybe it's not a perfect example, but in the software I use, every week I have to set the parameters that I want, and Descript's the same way, where it doesn't save it. You can't just say, I want 1920 by 1080 every single time. Just click a button and then have that standard size. But hopefully that's coming. Okay, so yeah, let me know if that helps. X, if there's something else I can show you with that. I guess I didn't really complete all my thoughts there. The other thing that I often do is under elements is this one right here. I use that arrow a lot. You can use this circle to bring attention to stuff. You can, the name of the Apple app that I have, and from the Apple App Store that is, it's just called Screen Cursor. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, a little bit on the edge of the screen there. It's just called Screen Cursor, and it's just a really, really simple, just you can set the appearance, you have this little draw box, and then there's a little bit of information about the company. That's it. And there might even be a free version that has no draw option or something, but it was like $2. So yeah, Screen Cursor. So yeah, so the other thing I do is add these annotations with like the arrow and stuff. And he's asking if you can change the color of it. So not in the same way that you can change a text color, but I'll show you what you can do. Because I do sometimes make these like blue or red. So it defaults to white, and that's the only thing, unless they've added anything. Nope, they haven't. So the way that you can change the color is go to Effects, hit the plus button, hit Color Adjustments, hit these dials, and then this temperature right here. You can change it, make it red by lowering the temperature, or blue by raising the temperature, or something in between. There's orange. But yeah, that's it. That's the kind of workaround there. So unfortunately, you can't. The other thing would be to find your own in Giphy GIFs, like go into Media, go to GIFs, type in arrow, something like that, and then pull one of these and find the right color, or make your own on Canva too. Canva's got a lot more flexibility on that type of stuff. Okay, yeah, thank you for the question. And the next one, the best way to create snippets from a 35-minute recording. I know you can use the Underlord, yet I'd love to have a tidy, organized process to create, save, and use the clips. Yeah, so if I take a video, like there was a kind of a long one I did this week. I made a sort of documentary of a trip that I took recently. And if I wanted to pull, here's kind of a workflow that I would do if I didn't use Underlord's Create Clips. If I did this the manual way, as I'm reading through, I could just like highlight a sentence, for example, and I'm like, okay, I want to make this into a social media clip. Then I could highlight these in a certain color. So I could say, okay, social media clips are yellow. And then just go through my entire video, annotate everything, or highlight, pick the parts I want. And then in Underlord, type in copy highlights, that first one that pops up. There's no button for it anymore. It's only something you can find through Underlord by writing copy highlights, which is kind of not obvious. Like most people wouldn't know to look for it if you didn't know it existed. So copy highlights. And because I made a yellow highlight, that's one of the options, or I could just select all highlights if I had multiple colors. But then I could just click yellow highlight. I could go to my project, hit new composition, and then hit paste. And then I could make this into my clip. I could make this portrait and do that type of thing. So hopefully that makes sense. Create, save, and use the clips. So yeah, that would be like a really quick way. As far as organizing, one other thing you can do, like if this is clip 1, is you can create folders in here. So you can create this hit this little plus button, and I could call this like clips, and then I could drag in my clip that I just created. And then all the clips, like let's say I end up having 7 clips out of this video, I could put them all in this folder and they'd be organized like that. Hopefully that helps. That's kind of the manual way. The more or less the same thing happens, just to show it real quick. If you click create clips and I say create 7 clips, this is Underlord. I hit Underlord create clips. Duration, let's do 40 seconds. And then I do pick one of these layouts, hit submit. And we'll give it a second. And sorry, it's slow. I'll look at the next question while I'm podcast editing. Okay, it's done. So here's the clips that Descript selected, Descript Underlord. And if I go to my compositions drop down again, click on that, it did the same thing that I told you the manual way. It created a folder called clips from, and then there's the 5 different compositions, and each one of these will be a different selection of this video that it pulled out as a good clip. So yeah, so 2 different ways to do it. And then the other question is, let's say one of our speakers has a 5 to 10 second lag in the beginning of the episode. I believe it impacted throughout this entire episode. How can we correct that? So Faces of the Future, is it in a sequence? Or how did you record it? Are they on, is it a Zoom call? Is it a Squadcast call? That'll depend on the answer. If it's a sequence, sequences are a little bit complicated if you haven't used them before, but it's at least an easy fix. If it's just one audio file, then unfortunately there's not really a good way to do it unless you have a way to separate the audio clips from each speaker. Because then it's just burned into that one file. So yeah. And while looking at that, I'm going to pull up a sequence. Let me see here. I need to have just like a bunch of sequences just ready to go because this happens every week. I apologize. I'm like at a loss for what to pull in. I can just do a recording real quick. Let me do record into Descript. It's still not going to work, is it? Okay, that's not going to work either. Okay, so he says it's recorded on Squadcast. So that's perfect. If it's recorded on Squadcast, it comes in as 2 separate files. So let me find one like that. Maybe this. Yeah, this was Squadcast. Let me just make sure. Yeah, okay. So this came in from Squadcast. So what you can do is click on the sequence, the bottom, and edit sequence, right click, edit sequence, and you have these 2 tracks. And so if one is, as you said, 5 to 10 seconds lag from the other clips, you can drag them and so like I got this top one called track 1. I can just slide it left and right to position it. And it gets a little tricky if you've seen in like Hollywood movies when they have the clapboard. The reason for that is from this view, like matching up the sound waves. If you have a clap where you have multiple mics in the same room, you can match up those sound waves. In this case, in the case of like people being remote, you got people in 2 different locations, so a clap wouldn't work. You can look for a part in the conversation where you can kind of see the sound waves. They shouldn't be overlapping, obviously. So you should see something more like this, where there's like a response from one person and then kind of a response from the next person, and it kind of will be give and take, like a conversation. So that's kind of the way to like roughly get things into place. And then you kind of just have to play it and see to really fine tune the timing. Yeah, I'm curious what happened there, because Squadcast, usually they come in, all the files come in as the same length, so it should be synced up. But yeah, take a look at it. See that this is the key though, is opening up the sequence, and then it's possible that it's just parts of the video are out of sync and not the whole thing. So yeah, you can let me know, take a look and see, and maybe I can give you some more. Oh, okay, you're asking the drag tool. So these are the timeline tools, and this is the default. So if you haven't changed it, this is the select tool. It's the first one, which is just your cursor. And you can just click on a track and drag it left and right using that. So yeah, that's the easiest way. The slip tool also does the same thing. You can drag it left. You can drag it left and right. But yeah, select tool is the easiest. I recommend that for most things. And then yeah, you're just shifting one track relative to the other. So you have, let's say track 1 is your guest that's out of sync. You'll just click on that guest and then drag them, if they're lagged, you said, so you'll bring them forward by 5 to 10 seconds. Oh, it's not working for you? Yeah, what's it doing? Is it just not selecting the tool and not letting you drag it? The other thing, I beat on this all the time, is, are you using a trackpad? Because this is a common problem, is this kind of like fine dexterity stuff. If you're not using an external mouse, it can be hard with like a trackpad, like clicking, holding it down, and then sliding it. Just another common stumbling block that I see is people trying to edit with a trackpad. So yeah. Yeah, sequences are super important for that kind of work. And I think when was it? Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? I think it was last week that Descript did their season 7 event. And I thought that was going to be the release of the big new version of Squadcast, but it wasn't. So we're still waiting on that. I thought I was going to get to show that off last week or this week, but we still don't have it yet. But for those of you who don't know, haven't used Squadcast before, when you record, it's kind of like a Zoom call, but at the end, there's a button that says edit in Descript. And as soon as you click it, it will send all of the files from all the people involved in the call, and then it'll send them over as separate layers and put them into a sequence for you. And a sequence is that view we just saw when you right click, say edit sequence. It's this view here. And then it's automatically supposed to be synced in time. But yeah, if things happen like we're seeing in the chat where it's out of sync for some reason. And I see, yeah. So from the podcast recording, it was glitchy internet or old computer. I gotcha. Yeah, so Squadcast is, I talked about this last week as well. It's great when it works, but it can be finicky. Okay, what else you got? Anything else? Any other questions? Often we talk about templates on here. There was a couple new things this week. What were they? I'm forgetting. I'm curious if anyone's had a chance to use Translate. I've been using it for some projects, and like my most recent video, I used it, and I did like all the major languages. So I did like Arab, Mandarin, Spanish, and I think I did threw German in there. But I tried to get like the the languages with the most amount of speakers and then translated captions for them and then uploaded it to my YouTube video. And it has views from all, not like a substantial amount, but like 1 to 5 views in each of those languages, which is cool. So I recommend giving that a shot. Translate your YouTube videos and for maximum reach, if it's relevant to a global audience. Yeah. What else? And the main AI tool I use, I'll always talk about this, is the add chapters. That's so you can create what becomes the markers in YouTube. It timestamps your entire video and then automatically gives it a label. So like if I do it right now, I'll just do it. You can type in a number of chapters that you want, but it defaults to auto. If I hit run, so those are the names it gives it. And then I can hit add to script, and it looks like I'd already added one before, so it's doubling up. But you can see these become markers, which on the left side are scroll points. So I can click on one, and it scrolls me to that point in the video. But then if I go to publish this to YouTube, these become time-stamped chapters that your viewer can just click on parts and then just scroll straight to that part in the video. So in the chat, I have a few videos that upload without the written dialogue. There, but not the script. And hey, Patrician, thanks for joining. What do you mean without the written dialogue, without the captions? The caption, just to define terms here, captions are the part that goes off of your transcript. So in this video, trying to make this bigger for you. This thing that says, "That's an interesting perspective," that's a caption where if I play it...
That's an interesting perspective, right? You just gave.
It's like, it's going in time with the video and it's playing on the screen. The transcript, and it's reading the transcript to do that. But so that's the only thing that the viewer would see unless they turn on closed captions, which is the YouTube's built-in part that plays, that, viewers have the option to turn on or off. And then the transcript, if you publish the transcript, so the transcript that upload... So when you upload it to YouTube, the transcript doesn't go with it. Only the captions do, unless you export the subtitles. So this is a file that will export your transcript in a time-synced file that you can upload to YouTube that will become the closed captions that people can turn on or off. And then the transcript, if you export that's just a Word doc, a text file that you could publish to a blog or whatever you want to do with it. So the transcript doesn't automatically download with the video. There's nothing for it to do, if that makes sense. But let me know what you're trying to do with it, and I can help you more. Another podcast editing question. In one episode, one of the speakers got booted and had to re-enter so that the speaker has 3 takes. How do I manage that in the edit? Oh, that's an interesting question. I'd have to see how it came in, because I don't know off the bat how Squadcast handles that. If it makes them 3 separate tracks. If it does, all the tracks come in like this. So there's file 1 and file 2. And if I had, let's say that this file, the second one here, had dropped 3 times, so I had 3 different takes from him. If it generated 3 different files for him, then inside of the sequence, I would need to add them in order if they weren't already in there as separate tracks. So like if I go into my sequence, and then let's say this is the the first part of his track. I'd need to find the second part of the take, add it to the end of this first take, and then just put them back to back like that. And I guess it'd be a little more complicated because there would be a gap between the time that he was dropped and the time he re-entered. So you'd have to space it out so it's synced properly, which again would involve sliding it left and right to get it in sync. So yeah. Anything else? And I think there's another question coming. When uploading the video, the transcript is incomplete, so editing is challenging. Okay. So I get what you're asking. Uploading the video into Descript, and then there's problems with the transcription itself. So, and let me know if I'm still off on that, but the way to handle that, if I'm understanding correctly, is come into the project file up here in the top right, and then find the file and not hit it on timeline. Yeah, so sorry, Patricia, I thought you were asking about uploading it to like YouTube or something, but I understand now. You're talking about in Descript itself. So yeah, so come into the project files right here, open that up, and then find the file that you want transcribed that is maybe it is partially transcribed and is having problems. Hit these three dots and retranscribe. That's the first step. That's the first thing I would try. And it's possible that it generates the same error if something's confusing it or it's not, the AI can't hear you correctly to transcribe in the correct way. But that's always the first step. And then let's see, what else? If the problem is that it can't hear you well or something, is there anything wrong with the audio? Like, is the audio clear? You can hear yourself well. That's another thing to check. You can manually correct things by highlighting it and hitting correct. If it's just like a few sentences here and there that are wrong, then again, that is to just select the sentence, hit correct, and then just retype it. Okay, audio is clear. So yeah, try the retranscribe and let me know what you're getting, and I can help from there. Okay, yeah, sounds good. Check Squadcast. Okay. What else? Let me see if I have any other interesting. Okay, 3 separate files. So yeah, you'd need to put them all into the sequence. And if they're not already in the sequence, let me go back. Go back to project files. So in your project files, you'll have a sequence folder. Find the folder or the sequence that came from Squadcast, select it, hit edit sequence, and then you'll have this view, and presumably it'll be like the take one of the guest that dropped, and then the full takes of everyone else. And then what you'll need to do is do add media, and then find take two. So let's pretend this is take two, select it, and then hit add files, and then do the same thing. Actually, you can select both at once. You can select take two and take three, hold shift, select both, and then hit add new tracks. And then that'll add them to your sequence. And then you'll just have to put them in the right order and get everything timed correctly. So a little tricky, I know, but that's the basic steps there. And what was this one? Oh, somebody pointed out an error with my social media safe zones. So just to talk about these real quick, I have a template, which is, review if there's a problem with the timing. Are you asking about a problem with the timing in a sequence? Like if there's two, in a interview, like two separate files? Because yeah, I did talk about that a little bit, which is inside of a sequence, you can right click on it, say edit sequence, and then you can slide the tracks relative to each other. So you can grab one of your guests' tracks and then, okay, the voice and video aren't synced. Oh, okay. So yeah, this is a different situation. If it's one file, yeah, so Faces of the Future, when you first pull it in, clicking add media, there'll be separate tracks and you need to put like the take 2 and then put it on the same track as take 1 and then take track 3 and then put it on the same track as the other two. And so Nancy, to answer your question with the sync issue, I have this happen a lot with my new camera. It's, no, let me see. I just need a simple, I'll just open this one again. So let me just open a random one here. So if you have an issue where your audio is not in sync with the video for some reason, then what you can do is right click on it, right click on the entire layer, click detach audio, and then right click on it again, hit edit sequence, and now we're gonna be inside of a sequence again, but this is only for one video file. So what we have now is a layer for the video itself and a layer for the audio from that video. And so let's say that our audio was a little bit behind our video. What you could do is with the select tool on, which it should be by default, grab the layer, hold it and drag it to the right. So now my audio layer is moving back in time while my video layer is staying the same. And then you can fine tune it like that. And this gets tricky. It takes a lot of trial and error. So like you make an adjustment and then play it. Forest. And then you just see how it looks with the mouth movement. And it helps if you have something like, I mentioned a clap earlier. The reason they use clapboards in Hollywood is to sync up the microphones. And so if you have like a sudden snapping noise or a cracking noise, then that's a really good place to time it to, because you'll have that sharp sound wave and then you can time it to that thing that you see in the video. So yeah, hopefully that helps. So again, that was right click. The first time you do it, you'll see a detach audio. Second time, right click, you'll see edit sequence, and then you'll just slide the sound until it's in sync with the video. Yeah, sequences, they're tricky. They're tricky, but they're important for this kind of stuff. Anything else come to mind? And Patrician, let me know about the retranscribing if that worked for you. Okay, let's see here. So in case you haven't seen it yet, I'll just do this to kill time between questions. There's a translate thing in Underlord, and okay, still trying. There's this translate thing, and if you click on it, you can translate this is in English, obviously. I can translate to, and then I can pick a language. So this is what I was talking about that I did with my most recent YouTube video. I translated it to different languages. And so, and actually the ones I mentioned, Arab, Mandarin, and just those two actually, those aren't Descript options. So the way that I did that was you have to have an English translation first, an English transcript, or English subtitles rather, that you upload into YouTube. And once you have that, then you can use YouTube's automatic translation to do those other languages. But using Descript itself, I did a German translation by selecting it there. That's it. I didn't do the dub speech. And then you hit submit, and it opens up this. So it's got my English transcript on the left, and then it's got my German one on the right. And yeah, that's how that looks. And then when I hit done, I have this new button at the top, this little language icon, and then all the languages I've translated it to will be available here. As well as when I go to export this, if I go to transcript, there's this thing that says original, and then I could change to any of the languages that I've translated it to. So that's how I could export this in another language, as well as subtitles. I got these are different timed, documents, basically timed. It'll display the subtitles in time with the video, time synced. And so you can use either one of those for YouTube, and then you download it, upload that into your YouTube video in YouTube Studio, and then you'll have that German capability. A German viewer could turn on German captions. So yeah, that's a brief rundown of how that works. And you can also do the title of the video. You can do the title of the video in another language, which this option automatically does. If you go to publish, and then actually I think if I change it here, yeah, you see that? So when I change it to German, it changed the title there as well. So what I did to those other languages is I just copied the title here and then pasted it into YouTube. And of course, you could also use Google Translate or anything else. You'd get the same effect. But then that just gives you more of a global reach. So yeah, pretty cool. And it's not far away until that's just all automated. It's just like going to automatically be in every language, and you don't even have to worry about it. But for now, that's what we're working with. Okay. What else can I show you? I haven't used this one much, but you can draft a social post. So it'll read your transcript. All of the Underlord features use ChatGPT. So it's literally taking this prompt the prompt is the text from the transcript. So it can't hear intonation of voices. It can't see your video. It doesn't have that context. It just has the context of what it can read from a text sample. And then also you can give it a prompt and give it more like, here's an example of what I want, or here's what I'm looking for. Here's what the viewer is looking for. And then in this case, in a social post case, you can say whether it's for a social network or a professional network, LinkedIn. And then when you hit submit, it's going to generate a thing that you could copy and then run that as a LinkedIn post if you wanted. Again, I just find that, I don't know, AI writing, it always adds these emojis. It uses way too many adjectives, and it's too verbose. So personally, I don't use it, or if I use it for getting ideas. But anyways. An interesting thing to do, back to talking about Squadcast, is automatic multicam. If you haven't used this before, if you have a podcast with 2 or more people and you apply this automatic multicam, which it's not going to work right now because they just have one layer. But if I had a sequence with multiple layers in it, then I could apply automatic multicam. And what this does is it'll automatically create scenes every time somebody's speaking. So let's say you have speaker A, speaker B, speaker C. It'll automatically create scenes for every time speaker A is speaking, every time speaker B is speaking, every time speaker C is speaking. And then these cutaways are scenes where all 3 of them are in one scene together. So yeah, with the cutaways, you can choose occasional, frequent, or none, where it'll never do a cutaway showing all the guests in one scene, or as it says, frequent or occasional. Those are your choices. And then, super, super handy. And yeah, what else? You can match up. So if you have a speaker label and different cameras, this is where you can assign this. Again, this is a bad example because it's just one camera, one speaker. So it's very straightforward. But if you had multiple speakers labeled, but and multiple cameras, but they weren't assigned to the correct speaker, this is where you could do that. So maybe you have a speaker or a camera that says Sony, and a camera that says DJI, and a camera that says Canon, but you have to match that up with the proper person who that camera was fixed on. This is how you would do that. Okay. Let me go back to what I started to say earlier about the social media safe zones. So a common mistake people make on social media is they put their captions under the controls of the platform. So on YouTube, there's the like and subscribe button, there's the thumbs up button, the share button. And what people do is they make their captions too big or too low, and then those buttons cover up the captions or other elements. Maybe you have little graphics popping up and the viewer's not able to see those because they're hidden by the controls. So I have a layout called the social media safe zone. And if you go to my templates, which ones are they? This one here, social media safe zone. I have all these different ones for portrait mode and for landscape. And what was brought to my attention is that this isn't transparent, the landscape one. The other one works, the portrait one. If I apply it, it's going to change my whole project to portrait. But you can see, this is what I'm talking about, those controls that go over here on the right side on some players and then on the bottom on other players. And this gives you that margin. So then just make sure you apply this over your project, play it back, make sure that nothing is getting covered up, and then you delete it. Just delete that top layer and publish it to TikTok or YouTube or wherever it's going to end up. But that's the basic idea there. But anyways, the reason I brought that up is that I need to fix this landscape one because it's not transparent. So be aware of that if you've been trying to use these. And on that note, you can download all of my templates for free. So yeah, Descript Mastery, if you go to templates, descriptmastery.com that is, and then free templates here. So, and I'll put this link in the chat so it's handy if you don't already have it. Yeah, and any questions, anything else that I haven't covered that is on your mind, let me know. We have about 15 minutes left. And also, I opened by saying that I'm doing this live stream, one more next week, and then future live streams will be a perk of the joining the channel. So there's on Descript Mastery YouTube channel page, there's a membership tab, and you can subscribe there's a $3 a month tier, and that'll get you access to the future live streams after 2 weeks from now. But in the meantime, feel free to ask whatever you want today and next week. And I might do multiple. I might do like Monday half an hour, Friday half an hour, or something like that. I'll poll the community and see what people want. Is my live stream? Yeah, okay. Looks good, I think. Oh, did I send the wrong thing? The thing I sent was the description of season 7 changes. Here's the link I meant to send if this is what you're referring to. Okay. Thank you for telling me. And yeah, it's when you click on that, or sign up for that, give your email, you get a bunch of templates that I've made that are things like that social media safe zone. Yeah, I already showed you that. It's got YouTube intros, which are, it's similar things, similar layout. And so it's got like a background, like some B-roll. It's got a title, which the idea here is that you would just swap out your own title with the topic of the video you're introducing. And then they all have different soundtracks. And so, yeah, so you could take these and then apply them to your project. And they're just got like, that one's called Waterfall. This one's called Work. This one's got Happy. So they're just different themes, different topics. And top 25 sound effects. That's just like common sound effects that I find myself using, made into templates. So it saves you a bunch of clicks if you're applying these sound effects over and over: mouse click, keyboard typing, crowd cheering, different things like that. They all are Descript's sounds. They're the stock media, but they're just made into a template for easy access. And yeah, as I started off the call, or mentioned in the beginning of the call, Descript, the CEO of Descript, mentioned that the next emphasis for the company, for the product, is on layouts and templates. So this whole way of applying and creating templates, I imagine, is going to change fairly soon. I expect that to change and get a lot better, because they acknowledge like it's not good how it currently is, and it's gotten worse because just getting into the weeds a little bit, but I've always recommended until recently that you create simple templates that only do one function and then stack templates. So rather than have a template that does studio sound and green screen and zooms in and has a transition and has like 15 different things that it's doing at once, I used to always just make templates that did one thing and then stacked them. But you can't do that anymore. When you apply one template, you saw me doing it just a second ago. If I apply this template and then I apply a landscape one, it overrides the previous one. So that layer from the first template is gone. You can't stack them anymore. So that's been an interesting change. I've been having to make more complicated templates lately. And so that's a question in the chat, is what other changes do I see coming to Descript soon? Interesting question that I haven't thought a whole lot about, honestly. I think the big one that I've been calling ever since I first saw Sora. Sora is if you haven't seen it, it's an OpenAI product where you can type in a text prompt, like say, generate me a video of dogs running in a field, and it'll do it using AI. It'll create a video that doesn't exist, wasn't actually shot by a human. And so being an OpenAI product, OpenAI is an investor in Descript, and Descript has, as we know, ChatGPT, and this generate an image is DALL-E. So I imagine we're probably a few months away from generate B-roll or something, generate video. Although as I say that, maybe not, because that's going to be a whole nother level of compute intensity. So that might be longer off than I think, just for the sake of how expensive that's probably going to be to put that in there. But yeah, I think someday you'll have the ability to, someday none of this will matter. It'll be a text prompt. You'll say, take this video I shot and make it look nice. And then the AI is going to do everything. But we're a few years away from that. What other change? And actually, I didn't even think about it, but for you, Laughing with Lincoln, check out Laughing with Lincoln channel. That's what you do. You do a lot of AI video generated stuff. So yeah, that'd be right up your alley if they integrated that. Yeah, what else? The templates. Well, any day now, the Rooms is going to be released. So the way I envision that working, I imagine that's going to work, is this: you'll hit new project, and then there's remote recording, and maybe it'll be exactly the same. It'll just, the beta tag will be gone. But it's probably going to be like that. And then instead of opening in your browser, it's just going to open a Descript project. It's going to look like any other project, but it'll have like an invite link where you can send to somebody to join your call, and it'll have, I don't know, like Zoom functionality, basically, like change your background, turn on studio sound during the call, like things like that. And then, yeah, that's probably the big one. As far as like accessing Descript, there's a thing out right now called Descript Preview, which is like a secondary desktop app. It's something you download, and it's kind of a hybrid between the desktop app and the web app. So the web app, if you know the difference, it doesn't require you to download files to your computer's hard drive. So the preview app is the same thing. It's like it's a window for the web app, but it's a app that you download to your computer. So the idea is it takes advantage of the best of both worlds, like being able to use some of your local computer's hard drive or processing power, and then Descript's server to do some of the heavy processing. Yeah, so I don't know when that's going to happen, that's getting into the nerdy weeds, because 99% of people aren't even going to notice. It's just going to be, okay, I downloaded the app, it works like normal, whatever. But yeah, the performance will be better, and there will be a couple subtle differences. But yeah, it's crazy how quickly this product changes. Every few weeks, it's like a drastically different thing. Yeah, I don't know. If I haven't spent much time lately in the feature request, but there's a thing on Descript where if you go to changelog.descript.com, where they show, I mentioned earlier there was something new and I couldn't think of what it was. This is it. So this is the changelog where they post all the latest updates to the software. And what they added this week was appear and reveal on your text. And so that makes it where it's the same text layer as we've always had, but it just makes one word at a time pop on. And then as the layer ends, they pop off one at a time, disappear one at a time. And then reveal does that, where each word slides in one at a time. So that's cool, because Descript is super linear. That's the biggest problem with it, is like it's very limited compared to CapCut or a lot of other softwares where you get a lot more like fun things you can do with the text. So let me just show you real quick. If I go to, that's caption. Okay, this watch next button or layer. So this is a static text layer, which right now does nothing. Yeah, it just doesn't even fade in. It's just there from start to finish. If I select it and I go to layer, and I think it's under animation. Yeah, so you can chat in and out. So we already had like blur, spin, wipe. What we now have is appear and reveal. Those are the new ones. So here's what appear looks like for just 2 words. I actually like that. I'm probably gonna implement that, where it just pops up watch next, one at a time. Here it is again. And then I can select it again. Let's try the reveal one. I hit these dials, hit appear, reveal. Let's try it. Like that. They pop up one at a time. So yeah, That's probably another thing we'll see more of, is just like getting more interesting. Like the thing where CapCut really shines, I mentioned that a second ago, is with their captions. They have things where like the word bounces in, like it just like way more emotion. You can have it like spin a little bit, or one word tilts to the left, next word tilts to the right, like things like that. And so, yeah, I think that's where Descript's headed, is trying to catch up on the effects with words. And then the other thing they added was borders and shadows on media layers. So as you can see here, there's like a video layer of this panda, and then you can add a shadow to a video layer, as well as a border. They added that yellow border. So yeah, you couldn't do that on videos before. Okay, so that was the changelog. The other thing I wanted to show you was the roadmap. This is where they show you what's in development. So zoom in on active speaker. That's kind of cool. Single camera, 2 people, 2 separate audio tracks. Okay. So yeah, so what this is saying is you have 1 camera, but you have like 2 separate mics, 2 separate audio channels. You could map one of the audio channels to each of the people in the camera, and then it would be able to zoom in on whoever's currently speaking. That would be pretty cool. And in development means like this is, you know, they're working on it. It could come out any release now. Multicam created on 1 video. Big buttons to try app features. This is getting into the nerdy weeds, so feel free to stop me at any time. Drop your questions in. Otherwise, I'll just kind of look at what's coming. Speech speed too fast. Too slow. Oh, so this is referring to, you can change the speed of something, but specifically this is talking about an AI voice. And let me just turn this into an AI voice by labeling it. So right now you can only play it at 1x at normal speed. So like this little selection I have is 12.8 seconds. And what they're asking for, or sorry, you can change it, but you're limited to like big numbers like 1.0, 7.75, 0.5. But they want to be able to have like more granular control, like 0.1% to change the speed. That's going to take a while to load. I'll keep moving on. More audiogram templates. Translation. Let's see what they want with translation. Oh, they just want more languages. So more languages coming soon, other than the 23 that they currently have. That's cool. Hopefully they get Mandarin and Arabic and the really, really major languages of the world. Right now it's largely just European languages, but yeah, it'd be cool to see Asian languages and stuff. And then here's what they're considering. Integrating with Zoom for better meeting experience, AI B-roll. Oh yeah, that's... Oh, okay. So this is a little different than what I was talking about earlier with Sora, but this one's talking about looking through the libraries and then finding the right B-roll for the scenes that you want to add B-roll for. That's pretty cool. And there's other tools that do that. So I totally could see Descript adding that in the not too distant future, because the technology's here for that. Okay, let's check on our project. Okay, so yeah, with that selected, what that was referring to is like, if I try to change the speed here, so let me do 1.1. Yeah, it does. So I'm not sure what that was referring to, because you can do 0.1%. So what I'm doing is by typing in this box here, it defaults, of course, to 1x. That's normal speed. And this is with a layer selected, layer over here, and then changing the duration. You can go to a slower than normal speed by typing in a number less than 1. So you type in like 0.8x, which would be 80% of full volume, full speed. And yeah, Hello, everyone. So that's how that works. Okay, we're at time. So any last minute questions? Final call. I have no other, sorry, I was checking I have people that were trying to join the live stream that just missed it. Yeah, any other questions before we sign off here? Oh, what I started to say is I have no other things after this, so I got a few minutes if anyone needs me to go over. All right. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for the questions. And I'll mention it one more time. I will do one more live stream next week, public live stream for free. And then after that, it's going to be a member perk. So I have this on my channel page, Descript Mastery. There's this membership tab, and yeah, it's just one other way you can support the channel. And what I might do is, with feedback from members, is do 2 live streams a week. Do like a half an hour on Monday, half an hour on Friday, or whatever would be useful. But yeah, would be honored if you joined, and encourage me to keep doing this. And yeah, thanks for joining. Talk to you soon.